Okay, so this is the bad news. The swing-arm bearings are completely knackered. So that's what it looks like, and it's not supposed to look like that.
From Sedona, I was going to head due south to Phoenix. Phoenix wasn't on my original plan, but while I was in Sedona, I had a couple of electrical problems and mechanical problems with the bike, which, being fairly mechanically inept, I couldn't fix. So I put a post on one of the bike forums that I was on asking for help, and I promptly got a reply from Bill, who happened to live in Phoenix. So I had a plan. I was heading towards Phoenix, where Bill had kindly offered to put me up for a few days while he fixed the mechanical problems and got the bike shipshape to cross the border into Mexico. This is the beauty of having a road trip with no fixed plan. You never know where the road's going to take you. I had no intention of going to Phoenix, but here I was, heading towards what turned out to be the 5th biggest city in the States. And if you Google Phoenix, it will tell you that it's known for its warm climate and year-round sun. But it didn't tell you that it was going to be absolutely crazy hot. And it was about 104 degrees virtually every single day. And as I rode in, I was melting. And it's such a massive city. It took me quite a long time to navigate my way around and find out exactly where Bill was living. And by the time I arrived there, I was well and truly cooked.
So I finally made it to Phoenix, and here's the amazing Bill, who's helped me sort out the problem with the horn. We think it's the relay that's corroded, but we'll soon find out. And it's about 130 degrees out there, it feels like it. It's absolutely mad hot in here. And we've got a fan there, which is creating a fan oven effect, so we're cooking away nicely. And Bill insists you can get used to this kind of heat, but I'm not so sure.
With that fan on, I'm going to have to go put a coat on.
I've never been in heat this intense, ever, in my entire life. Still warm. Thanks, Bill.
You're very welcome. Glad to help.
So we're here in it. What is this place called?
It's called Bevmo.
Bevmo.
Beverages and More. Bevmo.
Beverages and More, and it's
a beer mecca.
It is, yeah, the mecca for beers. I've never seen such a collection of beers I've never even heard of.
This is only one.
I mean, just like, fantastic, all kind of American microbrewery stuff.
The next day we took a ride out to Tortilla Flat, which is an authentic remnant of an old west town.
I'm on a ride out with Bill, and it's 100 degrees, and we're in a place called Tortilla Flats, Arizona. Interesting place. And inside there are dollar bills stuck to the walls for some reason. Hundreds of dollar bills. Cool place. And if you want to be a real cowboy, you can sit on the saddle at the bar. So it's cooler in here, Bill, isn't it?
It's got to be only about 85 in here.
There's no doubt about it, Phoenix was hot. Permanently hot.
It's now 6:40. Bill works. We're going to have a fly on his simulator, which sounds great. I'm really excited about that. I'm driving down the freeway with Laurie. She's in charge tonight, and it's 110 degrees out there, and 20 to 7 at night. Yeah, so just another typical day in Phoenix. Brilliant. takeoff speed?
I'm gonna hold it down so we're going pretty fast when I take off. Then we're gonna crank over to the airport really fast. Ready? Here we go.
Oh my god.
Oh, it looks like it's really there.
Oh my god, that's a pretty steep.
That's a little tight.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's New York City right there in front of us.
The following day I was up bright and early, well before dawn, to head back west for a pre-arranged couch surfing appointment in San Diego. But I wasn't going to ride 355 miles through the mad hot desert in one go. So I decided to break the journey up and have 2 nights stopover en route. The first of which was in a tiny little town called Gila Bend, which is only about an hour away from where Bill lived. And when I told him where I was staying, he almost fell about laughing. And I said to him, look, Bill, I have a policy that when it gets 100 degrees, I get off the road. And that's what I did. Booked into a small motel and hunkered down until the heat of the day had passed over. The following day, again, got up before dawn, got on the road when it was about 70 degrees and headed for my next stop, which was Yuma City. Same thing, by the time I got there, it was well over 100 degrees, so I booked into another motel and spent the day looking around Yuma. I'd learnt from my experiences riding to Bakersfield when it was well over 100 degrees, and I had to stop at every service station, soak my t-shirt on, put it back on, and within 25 minutes it was bone dry again. It was like riding in a fan oven and very uncomfortable. So here I was in San Diego with my new 2 couchsurfing hosts, Sally and Larry. No sooner had I turned up than they said, look, we're going out to celebrate a birthday at the races in Del Mar. Would you mind coming along? So I just tagged along. That's the exciting thing about couchsurfing. You just never know who you're going to end up with and what you're going to end up doing. But universally, everybody I met was kind and generous to a fault.
We're now at the races at Del Mar. I've no idea why I'm here, but I just turned up in San Diego with my couchsurfing new family here. There's Sally, yeah. There's Alan, and there's Alexis, who's a guru. And we're down here for the races. And the horses are coming past any minute now. And they're there. I've no idea what's going on. I'm just along for the ride here.
Jugo de naranja. Aquí tenemos café. Jugo de naranja.
Jugo de naranja.
¿Sí? ¿Y qué quiere decir café?
After an all too brief couchsurfing experience in San Diego, the following day I was heading north to Carlsbad. It coincided with the fact that my best friend Tony, his wife Claire and his 2 boys Mark and James were actually having a holiday there. So we arranged to meet up for a few days R&R before I continued my journey south.
With Master Chef, Mr. T. Whipple, say hello, cooking 2 steaks. I'm doing, look at that.
2 serious steaks.
2 pieces of huge piece of cow there.
These will be nice.
And it smells fantastic. Sipping on a nice glass of Sauvignon Blanc.
It was great to spend some quality time, albeit short, with some really good friends, have some great laughs, some great food. But all too soon, it was time to get back on the road again and head back east, retrace my steps via Yuma City, Gila Bend, back to Phoenix, where I was due to spend a couple of days with Bill, who kindly offered to ride down to the border of Mexico with me, because I think he really wanted to do the trip as well, but unfortunately he couldn't spare the time. Instead, he wanted to accompany as far as he could, which was going to be to the Mexican border. So now it was back to Phoenix before we headed due south to Mexico.
Okay, so this is the bad news. Having had the excitement of taking all this stuff off and the swing arm, it now turns out that the swing arm bearings are completely knackered and therefore need replacing. That's what it looks like, and it's not supposed to look like that.
Seized up.
And it's going to delay my trip into Mexico because we don't know, how I'm going to get these bearings, so where they're going to come from. So we have to make some calls now and figure the whole thing out. So the best laid plans. Okay, the bad news was when we took out the swing arm bearings, they were completely corroded and rotten and in a worse shape that Bill's ever seen, he said. So yesterday we had to order some parts from BMW. Thankfully they arrived today. But to do the job, we then had to buy a special press to actually press out the bearing from the swing arm because they were so corroded. It is now?
Oh, it's 98. It's still relatively cool today.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake today, yes. We've got a nice breeze, so
It's a nice day.
and we're getting covered in dirt.
Nobody died yet.
We've been at this all day, Bill has, and it's now 6:05 and the job is done. So what do you reckon, Bill? How tough was that?
That was the hardest thing I've done to these bikes yet. That's one of the swing arm bushings,
Look at that.
and it should be shiny silver chrome,
That is disgusting.
smooth as glass.
The following day, to test out the bike, Bill took me on a ride out to the Apache Trail, which unfortunately involved going down a steep dirt track, which Bill did with consummate ease, but because of my experience in the Dalton, I was a bit more reticent, shall we say, and frankly it took me forever to get to the bottom. But still, it's all good experience and preparing me for Mexico and beyond.
Down at the bottom of this valley, down this narrow winding dirt track that crazy Bill was taking me down, and he shot off like a scolded cat and zoomed down here, and I just crawled in, and it's
You were holding up traffic.
yeah, I was holding up trucks behind me.
This was used originally by the Apaches to get back and forth through the canyons, and then in the 1800s they started using the cowboys, the wagon trains.
Covered wagons didn't come down this road, did they?
Yeah, they did. It was more just a rut trail.
On the road we've just come down,
Yes. Hmm.
and that cave up there is where they used to get shelter and.
Yep, they would stop there overnight. That's why the ceiling is so black. From many campfires over many hundreds of years. The Apaches stayed there originally. That was one of their summer homes. They would actually camp up there for months.
So this is the original town of Goldfield. This is pretty much how it was in the old days. Apart from the Apache Trail tours, which is an impressive sight over there. That's Superstition Mountain. This is the way, it's pretty much the way it was. Wow, the jail. Jail rules. No complaining, no profanity, no loud talk. 2 visits out to the outhouse daily, my god. And you feed them beans, bread and water, and they go to the toilet twice.
Exactly.
Wow. It must have stunk in there. Is this a gold mining town, Bill?
Yes, sir. Whorehouse is right up there, the bordello.
Oh, God.
That was a bordello back in the day.
Wow. And now it's just a place for tourists and a kind of museum place, but it's pretty much the way it was back in the day.
So the following day we packed up and headed south for the Mexican border, but we're going to do it over 2 days. We're going to stop overnight in a little town called Bisbee, but on the way we had to call into Tombstone to see what the gunfight at the OK Corral was all about. Tombstone, Arizona was made famous by being an historic silver mining boomtown in the 1800s, and it's probably one of the most recognised and renowned names in Wild West history, becoming known as the village of gunfights, whiskey, dusty streets and cowboys, and of course strongly associated with the famous Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday and the famous gunfight at the OK Corral, immortalised in many, many Hollywood films.
You ought to find us a saloon.
Right there, Big Nose Kate's.
Big Nose Case.
Yeah, she's one of the historical figures here.
Okay, Big Nose Kate it is.
Eating downtown Tombstone. Here we go. You'd bring your sidearm, didn't you?
I left him on the bike. Okay, Big Nose Kate's Saloon.
We have Fat Tire, Samuel Adams, Shiner Bock, 1554, Bud Light, Stella, Wheat Beer, have Sam Season.
So you haven't got much then?
Huh?
Is it, Bill? This is where it actually happened. Where they fell. Walking on hallowed ground here. Stand on the most famous ground in Arizona.
The actual gunfight at the OK Corral was a 30-second shootout between lawmen Wyatt Earp and his two brothers Virgil Morgan and their friends Doc Holliday, members of a loosely organised group of outlaws called the Cowboys, and it took place at about 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October 26, 1881. After a fascinating little stop in Tombstone, we headed for our final destination of a little town called Bisbee. Bisbee was chosen because it was only about 28 miles from the Mexican border, but it was also a nice little town, very bohemian, attracted lots of artists and painters and musicians.
Well, it's breakfast on the final day before I cross the border into the unknown. And last night we had a really amazing night in these weird and wonderful bars in Bisbee. And had quite a few beers. Bill had more than I had, strong beers. And now, but to top it all, we're having breakfast and he's just ordered this grits.
Grits with cheese.
Is it good, Bill?
An Arizona gunslinger.
It looks...
Oh, great stuff.
It look. I mean, God.
What do you say? What is it? You say horrid?
No,
It looks horrid.
It looks like puke. My God. So that's grits.
The good thing is it doesn't taste like puke.
Well, no.
That's the upside.
God. Oh, yeah. Well,
You should try this on your eggs.
yeah, maybe another time. Listen, when I've been in Mexico, maybe I'll get my taste buds sharpened up for really strong stuff.
Just start eating jalapenos. Practice.
So this is it. I'm just arriving at the border of Mexico. Bill's ridden with me down from Bisbee and he's going to leave me now. It's all solo from here on in, just before he heads off.